Stuttering is like an invisible wall that you imagined in your mind. You attempt to enter, but cannot, as you keep bumping into this imaginary wall, even though it doesn't exist in reality. You tense your muscles, fighting this non-existent barrier, creating a static tension, which is exactly what you call stuttering.
I have a hard time with the words that begin, I feel, with a harder sound. I don't know. D, F, P, S, W. It could be everything. It could be all of them because I've stuttered on all of them at some point or another.
Okay, so let's
yeah.
go to the most difficult one. Open the dictionary and go directly to these words that you believe are difficult.
Okay, a dihedral, a dike, dictat, dilatory, dilemma, dilettante, diligent, dilly-dally, dilute, dimension. See, I get stuck. Diminish, diminuendo, timidity, temple, dinner, junction, juncture, jerkin, jiggery, jiggle, jinx, jitters, jujitsu. Devour, devout, dewberry, dexterity, dextrose, diabetes, diabolical, diacritic, diagnosis, diagonal, diagram. As I mentioned in the introduction, Evelyn Garberry was a mentor of mine. I was not disappointed when she said with a certain amount of pique, Lovey, study life. She felt the study of psychology, history, literature, theology, and mythology. Don Juan said that their actions with me had been masterful lessons in stalking. He told me that the art of stalking was what his benefactor had taught him before anything else.
Did you make any mistakes in reading?
No, I felt very comfortable reading. And it wasn't until university when I got there, and it was my first year, and I had to give a presentation in class. And it was a very unfamiliar situation. In high school, I was very popular. School-wise, I was just, I thrived there. And when I got to this presentation at UBC, I was in an environment and in a classroom with people that I didn't know. And as soon as I came to give my presentation, I was good for the first maybe 5 minutes. But then I came to a paragraph and I just completely started stuttering on every other word. There is no stutter. It's such a crazy feeling because it's really like being free for the first time. I don't know how else to say it, but people who stutter will know that speaking freely and not having to have anxiety over, can I say this? Can I not say that? Should I even open up my mouth and speak right now? These things aren't even there. It's very comfortable to open up my mouth, and I don't feel any tension in my mouth or in my head, and it feels really good. Yeah, I learned in this program that it is not a disease, it is not an illness. I don't have anything wrong with me. It's just a matter of speaking the natural way. That's it. And all these methods and tricks are a waste of time and just a complete mind mess. Yep. You have a big mess to get through because you've got layers and layers of programming and conditioning and voices, teachers that you have to get out of the way. You have to get rid of these people. You have to get rid of all these things. You literally have to clear the slate. It's just a matter of continuing on with this practice, speaking the natural way, and this is where I want to stay. It's very difficult to want to express yourself after you've been told over and over again, quiet down, calm down, don't speak now, don't talk. If a situation's uncomfortable, don't go there. And so most stutterers are very removed from life, from experiencing. We don't put ourselves out there. We don't speak to people we want to speak to. And when we do speak, we can't even be authentic. We can't be genuine because we don't even know how to express our emotions, and we've suppressed them for so long. So that's another thing that I learned in this program, in this class, in this experience was it's okay to be who you are. It's actually more than okay. It is the right way. You have to be who you are, and you have to not be a little person anymore and allow people to make you feel small and insignificant and feel as though you don't deserve to say something or ask for something or to get something and have something. That's another thing. We feel everybody else can win in life and have it all, but we just can't. It's not for us. And that's another lie, a big one.
Yeah, that everyone else is important and you are not.
Yes, and this is another fundamental reason why this program is so necessary for people who stutter, because you've been told your whole life that this is who you are. Every program has told you that this is you, you're going to stutter, there's no cure, and accept it and just be happy about it and be okay with it. Don't achieve for too much, just achieve for whatever it is that you could do as a stutterer. And being a victim and being a loser in life is what they set you up for, because you will lose all the time. And my experience was that, and everybody I met in any of the other programs were all in careers or jobs that they didn't want to be in because they couldn't do what they wanted to do. And the advice we were told was not that we can do these things and we are masters of our own fate or any of this stuff. We were told that everybody's got something. Some people have cancer, some people have AIDS, some people are blind. You're a stutterer. This is your thing, and that's it. You can't do anything about it but mitigate it, but manage it. And that's a complete lie.
It was interesting that you mentioned, you said, this is who you are. But when you kind of kill your emotions all the time, when you have a whole bunch of methods that you are supposed to use, techniques, methods, tricks, do you even know who you are? How can you even know who you are?
Yes, you don't.
It's impossible. So people who stutter have no idea who they are. All they know is that when I speak, I need to use some kind of a crutch.
Yes.
One of those beautiful golden crutches with diamonds, methods, techniques, whatever.
Yes.
Someone gave it to me for free. Wow.
Yes.
I cannot drop it. I need to use it. The problem is I have a whole bunch of them in my car that I'm pulling behind me, right? The car. Remember the monster?
Which one is for which situation? Yes, that was a very funny example from Roman.
Right.
Yes.
He said that you are walking with canes and you're walking with a crutch, balancing the crutch on your head, two cans in your hand, and pulling the cart on a whole bunch of crutches.
Yes.
How can you balance your body and begin speaking naturally, the way God created us? It's impossible.
Yes, and we're trying to do 15 different things at one time. Trying to say a word, it's like, okay, pinch your fingers, say ah before the word, take a deep breath, don't do this, don't do that, fill in another word, whatever it is. All these different tips and tricks, and you're going crazy. And he's right, you almost become like a schizophrenic because you have a million different people in your mind talking at you, telling you things, and you don't know
who to listen to.
Who you are. Who's you in the middle of all this?
This is absolutely right. And you know what? Could you please share with me what kinds of techniques, tips, tricks, what have you have accumulated in your cart of crutches? What are yours? This is
the big one, the biggest one was the slowing down of the speech. So I was told that it's better to sound different instead of stuttering. So if you go to a store and you want to ask for something and you know you're going to stutter, you should just slow down the speech. And for example, if I came to the counter, I would say, "Hi there, could I have one of those?" And I should feel confident and comfortable saying this regardless of how crazy I look to the person standing in front of me, because at least I'm not stuttering. That was one of them, the slowing down.
And I want to mention that because I'm going to include this in recording. So slowing down, what you just demonstrated, this is based on a hypnotic trick. So every stuttering program in the world other than Etalon teaches people who stutter to do chanting. So what you just demonstrating is just chanting, stretching vowels in the same monotone voice. I can't even do it for a long time.
And the reason that it works temporarily, or you think it works, because let's say you want to say a letter F and you stutter on F. But if you slow it down and you say Frank, you can say it. The reason why it works, I realized now, is because you're not in your mind. You've taken the mind out of the equation when you're stretching out these words for so long and it's so prolonged. That's it. That's all.
And actually it works because this is, you know that, for example, when people who stutter sing, they never stutter. So this is a form of singing.
Exactly.
This is not speaking.
Exactly.
And speaking and singing are two totally different actions.
Exactly.
Different
Yes.
skills. When
Yes.
you were
And I never got a proper explanation for that. I always asked them. I said, when I'm singing, I'm fine. Or even when sometimes I'm alone in my room, I can speak no problem. How can I be a stutterer if it's not across the board, if it's not all the time, if it's in certain situations but not in others? Why? How can that be? And so I learned here. And the other methods and tricks are pinching your fingers, putting pressure somewhere else in the body so you distract yourself from speaking, so you can somehow trick yourself and get that word out. And saying in front of what you want to say is another one.
Oh my God, this is so bad. Saying
These were the three big ones that I learned.
You mentioned to me also some connecting words.
Yeah, so the connectivity goes hand in hand with the prolonged speech. So after you speak slow like this, then we get to begin to speed it up a little bit. And when you speed it up, instead of having a pause in between the words, you have to connect all the words. So for example, I would speak like this without a pause and go up and down in the intonations. So that's the connection. There's no breath or there's no break in between, because they told me that the break in between is where the stutter happens. It's going to sneak in there. So if you close that gap, close the door, it can't come in.
That's right. If you close the door, then your speech is going to come out, right?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, okay. We can talk about this craziness for a long time, but have you ever done all this breathing crazy exercises?
Oh, and breathing, yes. And that was another one. The breathing techniques, I almost had a panic attack one time because I was trying to do the breathing technique, trying to slow down my speech at the same time, and I felt like I was gasping for air, and I was trying to take a slow and long, deep breath, and the whole thing, it screwed you up. It screwed me up so bad. That's all. It's just screwing you up. That's it. It's not helping you. It's pushing you further and further away from where you naturally should be. I went to hypnosis. So after all the different programs and all the different techniques, I was convinced that I have some sort of childhood trauma or something, maybe a past life trauma or whatever, that is doing the stuttering. That's why I have this problem, and if I get rid of this, then I'm going to be healed. So I went to a hypnotherapist who I found in the magazine, and her specialty was people who have communication problems. So I figured, that's me. And I went to her office, and she explained to me that she's going to hypnotize me and take me back to the incident. There's one incident that started all of this, and I need to go there, and I need to find my child in this moment and heal this problem. So I laid on the couch for about an hour of her doing this hypnotherapy, and the whole time I was not hypnotized, and she was putting images and words in my mind that weren't happening, but trying to create a story. And so she told me, imagine that you're in a beautiful opening, you're in a beautiful park, there's a pond, there's fish, there's birds chirping, there's all these things. So she created the scene, and I went to this place, and then she was trying to get me to visualize a time in my childhood where this stuttering began. And there was many instances in my childhood where I stuttered, and so I wasn't sure which one I'm going to, which one am I healing. And after an hour of imagining things, sending love to my childhood self, I came out of there. I came out of there with nothing but images of this beautiful pond and my childhood self, and more confusion and more ideas of maybe now I need to go home and try to hypnotize myself, and maybe I'm holding on to some energy of some past life that I'm unaware of, and this is what it is. Just all these ridiculous ideas. And another one that we did was breathing in and out of one nose, clearing the air. So you plug one side of your nose, breathe out, plug the other side, breathe in, because there needs to be a balance of breath on both sides. And if we're not capturing the breath in equal amounts, I guess, through the nostrils, that's also preventing us from speaking naturally somehow.
My God, I haven't heard this yet from someone.
There were all kinds. And I wondered, I said, well, when I'm sick and my nose is plugged, I can still speak though. So, so I never got it. I always knew that this wasn't it, because it just didn't feel right. It did not resonate with me. I knew this was just temporary. This couldn't be it. And this is the only time. This is the first time in my whole life that I know it. I feel it. I know it's over. I understand what it is and what I have to do now. And I've known it all along.
Of course, this is what...
I really don't remember when it began, but I was told from my parents that it started when we were back home and there was a war happening in the country, and every night as bombs dropped, I was a very young child, so I was very scared, and I couldn't speak. I had this terror that had taken me over, and when I came to express myself or make a sound, my mouth was locked, completely locked, and nothing would come out.
I have a question. So you're saying that there was a war zone? Where was it?
In Iran.
Okay.
In Iran, there was the Iran and Iraq war, and my parents were there, and in the heart of it, they were there experiencing the war, and my mom was pregnant with me during the war, and she was very terrified. And when I was born, the hospitals were closed. There was a war that night, and my dad, it's quite an incredible story, but my dad had to bang on the doors of the hospital, and finally a patient from upstairs had heard him screaming and banging and came and let him in. But the hospital was closed, and it took them so long to find a nurse, and it was dark. Everything was shut off, all the lights were off, and in the middle of this terror scene, my mom had to give birth to me. And beside her, there was a woman that was also pregnant, and she was in the middle of giving her birth to her child, but she didn't make it, and her child was born. And so this was the environment that I was born in. And from there, I lived for the next 2 years in a war zone. And so when I came to Canada with my parents, I couldn't speak. I was very afraid, very fearful, and stepping into elementary school, being the only person who has dark hair, dark eyes, and is not from Canada, not a white person, was a whole nother layer of fear, I guess, that I got exposed to, because I was not accepted by anybody, and everybody thought I was so weird, and my food was not the same as theirs, and I didn't look like any of them. And at the time, there was nobody who knew what Iran was or where it was or anything. So I just felt very alone, and I never had any friends for the first few years, and my experience at that time was not a good one. And then when I was in grade 3, when I first went to a speech therapist. And so I went to speech therapy for about a year through the school, and it didn't do anything for me. And then when I was in grade 4, the school speech therapist actually found an institution that was doing a 3-week-long intensive stuttering program, and I enrolled in that, and it was very intense. It was a lot of work, but by the end of the 3 weeks, I came out of it and I could speak. And for the first time, I remember just how wonderful I felt, just how amazing I felt to be able to finally talk and finally say what I wanted to say. And from that point on, you couldn't shut me up. I just kept talking nonstop.
The question I have, do you remember what they were doing with you during this intensive course?
Yes. The entire course was based on speech connectivity. So everything we did began with slowing down the speech. So we began every day for 8 hours in the class, and then at night when I would go home, my homework for about 2 hours would be to speak at under, I believe, 60 words per minute, something like that. So I would talk. It was that. Everything I wanted to say, just slowing it down. And I believe, now that I understand how to speak, the reason that it worked is because it took you out of your mind and brought you here. That's it.
Yep.
That's what that was. But as soon as I got older and my mind started to regain its power over me, I noticed that the stuttering would come back every now and then. And it was as soon as it would come back, it was almost like a killer had come back in my house, or an enemy was here and I was under attack and I couldn't do anything. And I felt, this is returning. This is out of my control. And so I tried this slow speech, but it didn't work. And what I was told was that I needed to practice this every day, twice a day. I couldn't find the time, I couldn't do it, and it didn't work. So by the time I was in my early 20s, and I was in a school situation, in a school setting where I had to give a speech, and I found myself very anxious and nervous and intimidated by everybody around me, that's where it crept up again. And as soon as it started coming out, I started paying more attention to it, giving more power to my mind instead of the speech. And it started from there. It just started catapulting from there. I started being very self-conscious about it. Yeah, and it started affecting me in everything that I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be in broadcasting. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be a host of a show. But I never pursued these things fully. I always went ahead with it, and I got so far, and right where the opportunity would open up for me, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't take it, because I knew if I go there and I screw up, what's going to happen? People are going to know that I stutter, and I can't do that. I'm not ready. So I prevented a lot of opportunities from happening, and I missed out on a lot of things that I would have done had I known how to help myself at the time. And in my it was around 24, 25 years old that I decided I have to get to the bottom of this, because this is my challenge of my life. This is my obstacle. This is my thing, and I've got to figure this out, because if I don't, I will lose. I will lose in this life because I can't be myself. I can't be who I am. And I began learning about the body, about the mind, which led me to all kinds of different places and all kinds of different information that I had never encountered or come across. And I began to look back at all the different things that I had done throughout my whole life, all the different tips and tricks that I had learned that did not work, and I realized why they didn't work. And I recognized that this is a fundamental shift, a fundamental change that has to happen, not some sort of a Band-Aid that you put on and hope that everything works out. It's a total shift in the procedure and the way that you speak, the way that you're doing things. And so I was looking for that. I was looking for that fundamental piece of information that I didn't have to allow me to recognize how to speak properly. Because I learned that that's what it is. I know what I want to say. I know what it is. I know what I want to read. I can see it. But there's something in between. There's something preventing that, and I needed to get that out of the way. And
what was it?
My mind. It's this.
Your own mind.
Yeah, it's the mind. It's crazy. Oh, yeah, it's the mind. And so when I came across Anna and the Etalon method, I had no idea what it was about. I saw 3 days and you'll be over it. And I was very intrigued by the 3 days.
Yeah.
Because everything that I've ever come across is a lifelong commitment of tips and tricks. And I know...
And they say the 3 days has to be a scam.
Yes. And the reason why when I saw the 3 days, I didn't think it was a scam was because I have changed habits, certain things within myself instantaneously that I've carried my whole life, just from a new awareness about it, just from having a new approach to it, or being conscious about something in a different way when I haven't been doing before. So I knew that this was the same thing. This is not a scam. This is something that doesn't need your whole life to overcome. You need to get it and change it, and it's gone. And you can even see that when you look at people who have illnesses and people who have cancers or tumors, and instantaneously, within a few days, they're gone by treating them the proper way. You have to get rid of that environment that allows for that to live there. And once that's gone, it can't live there. And speech, I believe, is the same thing. It's just doing it the right way, not going down the back alley or the mind alley, going through the right road, and it's gone. It's not there. And so I was very interested as soon as I came across it, and I spent many hours listening to the testimonies and all the other students and Anna's explanation of what it was. And it was really the way, the approach. It was the holistic understanding of mind and body and speech and where this is all coming from and why that really intrigued me and got me interested in this program. And I knew I had an intuition, a gut feeling that this is it. This is what I need. I need this information, and the rest is up to me. So that's my story.
Okay, that was a wonderful, beautiful story. By the way, grade your speech. Did you
I gave myself an A. I did very well.
That's right. No mistakes. When you do things in the natural way, of course, everything is natural. Everything becomes natural because, once again, God doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
Everything is created in the natural way. All we have to do is to learn how to use this miracle that God has created ourselves.
Yes, and I think that for stutterers, it's just like learning a new skill. You have to learn the skill of speaking, which we don't know. That's all it is.
Actually, you do know.
We know, yes.
That's the thing, that you have it. You do know. It is the crutch that keeps you from doing what you already know inherently. You were born normal. You were born ready to speak, to express yourself. Remember I told you this analogy, not analogy, but when you are born, everyone understands the message of a newborn baby. Everyone understands it, right?
Yep.
Nobody teaches a child how to express him or herself. It is when we become older and attempt to improve something that is already perfect, that's when the problem cripples in. That's where the problem begins. Our mind, I want to make it better, although it's already perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to share your experience with the program just kind of in details. When did you practically drop your stuttering? How much further away through the program? When did it start?
This program?
Yes.
The first day? It started the first day, within the first hour, 2 hours of the class. It is really, as you said, I already know how to speak. I just have a third party in the way that is trying to help me, but is screwing me up. And I have to just keep kicking that party out of the way, getting rid of that and focusing on what I know. And when I do that, it's not there. My recommendation for anybody out there who's stuttering is to get real with themselves, get real with life, and recognize that you have been lied to. You have to understand that. You have to understand that you are not a victim. You're not sick. There is nothing you can't do, and you have all the power of the universe within you, and you've been lied to. That is, I believe, the fundamental understanding that you have to have, because you need to know the truth. You need to know that you can do and be anything. And this is your obstacle to overcome, which is going to show you how powerful you are and show you how amazing you are. So it's a gift in a really weird way. It might not seem like it right now, but it is. Because once you understand that you have all the answers, you already have everything you need, you're just not using it. This understanding will allow for you to live your life as if you're a new person. You're born again. Life is new. It'll be brand new for you. But in order for that to happen, you have to get rid of all this past programming, these past ideas of you being a victim, you being a stutterer, you not being able to speak. These are all lies, and this will destroy you, and you will lose in this life, plain and simple. You will never win, and you will waste your whole life waiting for a handout or a help out from somebody else when all the power is within you. I recommend anybody who is a stutterer, you 100% have to do this for yourself. You have to learn the truth and you have to know who you are, and you will never get there if you go to any of these other programs.
Right? If you go anywhere else, they will continue giving you different crutches, different methods, and you don't need any crutches. You don't need any methods. Okay, very, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For being a wonderful student. I am actually feeling privileged to being able to teach such an awakened person.
Wow.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm so happy that I came across this and I went for it and I trusted my gut, and I just you feel like a genie in a bottle almost, but you recognize that you're the genie and you're not a bottle anymore. And so it's a very empowering feeling. Thank you very much.
You're very much welcome. And you know what? The bottle is there if you create it. The invisible wall. Stuttering is that invisible wall that you keep bumping into. It's not there. It's here. It's in your imagination. Okay?
I know, it's crazy.
So